Well, my name is Juliet Iwelunmor, and I'm here in this session that we call Light Recap with, go ahead, Alexis, introduce yourself.
My name is Alexis Engelhart. I am kind of like the project manager of Light. It's great to have you. And then we also have Bianca.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
Good, good. And Bianca was in charge of?
So I was in charge of the design for Light. So I basically did all of the, some of the creative work and layout.
Right, and so together we present Light Magazine, yay.
It was a long time coming.
I feel like I've been in labor for so long. We've been in labor for so long. It took a team, a tremendous, incredible team to get us to the end. Obviously, Alexis and Bianca were instrumental in that process, but there's also Idia, my queen heart, that helped with leading this journey. There's an advisory board, the Light team, Nana Makajuola of Radiant Health Magazine, for whom none of this would truly be possible without your expert advice and mentoring and what it means to actually give birth to a magazine. We are truly indebted to you, so many family members, so many volunteers, so many people that just listened to us as we kept on saying we were hungry for change, we were hungry for something different. I was just reflecting, just even with the logo design, the whole idea of putting this together was a labor of love, selfless love, of people just coming together to say enough is enough for the public health we know, knowing that the public has a right to see themselves, their lived experiences also told in ways that are often not told. And so we see the absolute necessity of light in these times and the ethical responsibilities it demands. So because you have to ask yourself the question, where does the public go for their health as defined by them, for them? And then we want everything possible for the public health, hence why we are here in this session to reflect on the journey towards making light. I don't think we believe that every story or art or poem can truly reflect the public, but still every stories, art, poetry, letters can reach many of whom feel often invisible or without a voice, for a field that continues to, prop up the experts to the neglect of the public who are truly going through their health in ways they know. And so we introduce Light to showcase what is out there in the public and to say that even your stories, your voices, your art, your lived experiences matter for the public. And it is for the public, and they do deserve a space for their own lived experiences, or what June Jordan would define as the infinite connectedness of human light. And so we bring you Light because we did this as a community, for the community, by the community. And I think we're going to now enter a dialogue with two of the people that at least got us to the end, but there were so many. And I know some of you are on this call, and without you, none of this would be possible. And so let's get through a dialogue session. Now, can you share, Bianca, Alexis, some positive outcomes that emerged from the design process to get us to the end with Light issue 1?
Okay, so I'll start actually. So definitely the experience was very motivating, especially being a creative. Sometimes we get kind of bogged down with so much other stuff that it kind of kills our creativity at times. But definitely through doing this, it was kind of like a revival of that for me. And, kind of just starting a new project from start to finish. So, working through the beginning stages of the magazine were definitely a little bit, I call it blurry, like hard to see where it was going. But, as we continue to pull pieces in for the magazine, it kind of just started to come together.
What about you, Alexis?
Yeah, and I think for me, it's just like, wow, that it's finally here. It's been like 2 years since we first started Light. First started with, like figuring out a name, designing our logo, even deciding like what product Light was going to be. The magazine, initially didn't have magazine in the picture. So it's just so crazy to me how like today is finally here. And then like Bianca said, just putting it all together in the magazine, we didn't really know what we were doing in the beginning, honestly. So just piecing everything together and seeing how it unfolded over time. I know I would send updates to the team with, you know, what the magazine looked like now versus like 3 weeks ago. And it was just crazy how much it changed within 3 weeks and the product that we actually have today.
Excellent. So now that we have something, what was unique or noteworthy about the process for you guys?
For me, I always reiterate, I'm a designer. I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I'm a designer. But when it comes to like drawing stuff in illustration, I'm not an illustrator. So for me personally, that was kind of one of the hurdles for me, was getting over how we were going to create pieces visually. And throughout the process, I realized that I really like doing collage design. So, I mean, I've always been really into magazines because I've been really into design. So I just always have a stockpile of them. So I just started to think like, how could I contribute visually to the magazine? Because I knew it was something that I definitely wanted to do as far as creating artwork came. And I was able to find a love for doing collage design.
And then I'll pick up there. For me, what was really unique and I think like noteworthy of this process in our magazine is just the collaboration that we created through it between Bianca and myself first. I think that was amazing for us to actually meet and, you know, just talk about this magazine and develop it together. And then just with the collaboration between all the contributors, all of the people who submitted their work to be published in the magazine, and then all of the artists we worked with. The magazine's full of many, many different artists and writers who we've kind of sourced out. So the writers, they did submit their work, but all of the artists who put illustrations together for each of the pieces. Bianca actually did a lot of that sourcing. She found all of these artists. We reached out to them and we asked them if they would create work for the written pieces. That was pretty cool. And I think it will be really, really neat as well for the writers to actually see what artwork is paired with their piece as well.
I especially love it. And just, I don't know if you guys can see some of them. Maybe my thing has a blurry thing, but just to show you the depth of the artwork that was sourced, just quite fascinating. So Chinua Achebe often says that it's important to understand that there's always a struggle through life. You know, where one thing stands, another thing will always stand. And so truthfully, you and I know, and everybody that is on the Light team know that there were struggles. And so can you share some insights into some of the hurdles we experienced getting through to the finish end, and what we can do to overcome these hurdles in the future as we continue to give birth to more lights?
So to piggyback off of what Alexis was actually just speaking about, one of the biggest hurdles was definitely finding the creative visual aspect of the magazine. So just being able to like growing my confidence and reaching out to different artists and being able to iterate what, you know, visually I was looking for from them, and kind of just understanding a bigger scope of artists as a whole, especially when it came to illustrators. Because I know going into this, you know, I would speak to different illustrators, and in my head, I would just think that if you can draw anything. But I soon came to realize that everybody has a specific creative style at times. Some people are a little bit more broad, but a lot of people have their own specific style. So it was very interesting to learn how to work within those boundaries and finding different artists that could bring what I had in my mind to life on paper. And it gave me a new respect for what illustrators do as well, because even though I have been in the creative field for a long time, being more of on the design side, you know, you don't always necessarily understand the hurdles that other artists go through in creating their work. And, you know, it was an interesting experience to learn how to communicate with artists.
I agree. And we actually talked about this a little bit yesterday too. But another thing we faced, just an overall hurdle in general, is besides Bianca's created or helped like design magazines in the past, but the style that we were going for this one was fairly new to her. And this is the first time ever that I have been involved in the design process of a magazine or a product in general. So just that in itself was a hurdle for us. It did take us time. We were talking about how, you know, we started this process almost like a year ago. And it just, you know, every week we met weekly for a very, very long time. It was, there was always another little hurdle that we had to get over, but we would just, you know, communicate and figure out the way forward and just work through it that way. So I think we did face a lot of hurdles in creating this first one, but with mistakes and with experience, we learned. So now we are better equipped and prepared for issue 2, and we already have our brains rolling and thinking in ways that we can make issue 2 even better than issue 1.
Perfect. I mean, that was even perfect for my next segue. What next? What do you hope to do differently with issue 2?
So going into issue 2, with any project that I ever work on, especially when there's a next step for it, I just always hope to see the design get tighter and more cohesive. I'm very happy with how issue 1 turned out. I'm very proud of all of the work that we put into it. And it feels really, really good to see, you know, your creation come to life and be able to hold it in your hands. But definitely as we move into issue 2, I just hope to tighten up the design, tighten up the cohesiveness, and then also take the knowledge that I've gained with talking to artists to be able to, you know, curate something even bigger and better for issue 2, visually and, you know, creatively.
And I agree with everything Bianca was saying. I don't have too much more to add, but I do think with issue 2 that I would just love to even work with more people. We worked with a lot of people in issue 1, a lot of different artists, and like I said, the contributors, but just you know, reach out. We're always thankful for the collaborations and relationships we make, and we try to continually include those people in our work and in our lives moving forward. But to make new relationships and collaborations along the way is always really exciting. So I hope to do a lot more of that with issue 2. I think another thing is, like Bianca said, was tightening everything up and just figuring out a quicker and a better process for everything. And, you know, just like I said previously, with mistakes and with experience, we learn and we are better equipped to start issue 2.
Excellent. So let me just close out at least my section and I turn it over to you, Alexis. But what I said in the beginning when we came, Edie and I in the first opening with Dr. Mati, you know, the word that kept on coming to my mind was reimagination. And to think what a group of people can do when they come together to reimagine public health as we know it just keeps me humbled. You know, this is a crowdsourced magazine for the public, by the public. It is imperfect. You know, obviously the public is the public. We struggle. But it is us. This is your stories as reflected by you, not, you know, told to adhere to 3,000 words or this images or this margins. It is your story. It is your magazine. And none of this would be possible without the support of so many people within the Light family, with the two of you in particular. So just thank you for gifting public health light. And we look forward to issue number 2. So take it away, Alexis.
Okay. So I do want to, I was thinking about this. Dr. Juliet just said like reimagine. I do want to share a word, and I'll ask Bianca to describe like light in this process. I was actually thinking about this before I went to sleep last night, but then I actually fell asleep and didn't think. But what's coming to mind right now is freedom. And I'll say a phrase too, freedom through creativity, also with like reimagination. But I say freedom because it was very freeing experience in the way that we were able to create kind of whatever we wanted. And that always is really, really nice. Freedom in the way that we give them a topic or a theme, and they're free to write however they choose and however they feel. So I think light in itself is just a very freeing space for everyone to be themselves, and to, like Dr. Juliet said, reimagine the field of public health, but also just the space that people are in and the space that you're in. So I would say freedom.
And then I also would like to share a word. So the word that kept coming to me was necessary. My idea behind that is there's so many people in the world that need a voice and need an outlet to express themselves. And, not one person can give that voice to everybody. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But this is like our kind of like gift to those people that are in our scope, to be able to give them the opportunity to share their voice. So I chose the word necessary because it was a necessary space to provide that platform for artists and writers, just like Alexis was saying, to be able to have that freedom to write whatever they wanted to write, express the way that they feel. And even further, as people pick up the magazine and they read it, some people may read certain things and they also, grab some inspiration from that as well. And it might help them in their own personal journey. So I definitely love what we're doing with Light. And anything, when it comes to public health and mental health stuff, is just very necessary for the world.
And can I add one more thing? There are kids in this magazine. So imagine public health magazine with kids in it from the camp. So it is multi-generational. It is not just the experts. It is everyone, because public health is that everyone, not just for few people or some people. So I know for some of the kids at the camp that have seen the magazine, it was impressive to see their names reflected in a document at such a young age, something I wish I had as a kid. So thank you guys for helping bring their experiences to life, because they for example, went through a pandemic. And sometimes we forget that, there are children whose childhood have been changed because of a pandemic. And so to see the way you guys honored their lived experiences has been just, wow. So thank you and thank you. I think now we begin the Light recap in preparation for Light issue 2.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to share about our open calls. So in preparation for the festival, we launched our second and third open calls for submissions of art, letters, stories, poetry, and even other creative works. And this was in August of 2022. That was our second open call. And then February 2023 was our third. Okay, so like I said, our fall open call, this was August 1st through November 1st of last year, 2022. And we realized that we went through a pandemic, obviously, COVID-19 pandemic. It infected millions of people and caused millions of deaths globally. So it directly impacted people physically, physical health, but also exacerbated mental health as well. So we wanted to recognize this, and we thought now more than ever, the public, we want to incorporate the public's views in of healing in our design of mental health services about their health. So we wanted to ask the question, how might we view healing and mental health through art, letters, stories, and poetry following the pandemic? So all of our open calls, if you're not aware, we do have 4 categories, and then we have 3 finalists in each of our categories. So the first place submitter wins $500, the second place wins $375, and the third place wins $125. So now we're going to announce the finalists from the fall open call. And these folks, I'm just going to run through the names really quick to show everyone here on the session, but these folks do know that they were finalists in this open call, and their work will be in our next magazine, so issue 2 of Light. Okay, so this is the art prize. We do title our prizes. So this is Art for Public Health prize. And the third place winner was Brittany Walston. Our second place winner for art in the 2022 open call was Martin Lee. And then our first place winner was Adeolua Ariel. So congratulations to them. Next, we'll do letters. Our second place was Sheila Scott. And then we had a first place, Oluwakorede Adedeji. And the reason why we didn't have a third place winner in this one, and you'll see another one here, is because the judges didn't score high enough per the judging rubric. Okay, the next we'll move to poetry. Again, this is still the open call from fall 2022. We have third place. Oops, third and second actually. John Leu and Mersbin Schroff. Congratulations. And then Trisha Knoll was our first place winner. Stories, Jamie Townsend, third place. Yvonne Gleason was second place, and Sean Goodman was first place. Congratulations to everyone. And then finally, Surprise Us. And we had one winner in Surprise Us, Adesua Osazua. So congratulations, everyone. This was the fall 22 open call. Okay, and then moving on. So we just held our spring open call. We realized, that everyone was fighting kind of with their state of mental health after the pandemic. And our fall open call, as I just discussed, was themed around mental health. So our spring open call, we wanted to bring in wellness. So we asked, how might we reflect and reimagine wellness and public health as art, letters, stories, and poetry? And again, I will go through the winners. These folks actually, they will be hearing, if they are on the session, if they're on the session today, they will be hearing live for the first time. So let's congratulate these folks. So our third place, we have Gordon Halloran. Congratulations. Second place, Nicole Carey. And first place in art, we have Mary Sawatsky. So congratulations. Letters. Third place, Kaori Flores Yonkura. Second place winner, Yusuf Babatunde. Congratulations. And first place, Oluwakorede Adedeji. Congratulations. Moving on to poetry. Janie May in third place. Claire Bealey in second place. And Marissa Hedgowska. Congratulations. And then finally, we have stories again. So this is our spring 2023 open call. Eva Marie Lugo in third place, Hunter Legore in second place, and Emily Lancow in first place. Congratulations, everyone. And apologies if I said your name wrong, but again, we just want to congratulate everyone and thank you for submitting your work to our open call. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing really quick. And then now we're going to kind of transition the session. We're actually going to have a discussion with some of our submitters and our open call winners. Okay, so the first question I have for our finalists and our winners of the open call is, tell us a little bit about your session and why it relates to healing, either healing and mental health, if you were a part of the fall 2022 open call, or wellness, how it relates to wellness if you were a part of the spring 2023 open call. I'm going to kind of open the floor to anyone who wants to answer. You can raise your hand. I can call on you, but it's just kind of a little conversational discussion we'll have. Yes, Marissa.
I'll start. I just got super emotional. So this was really meaningful to me, and it's exciting to be a part of it. And I'll try and sound not choked up about it. But this submission was super meaningful to me. I think that the intersection between mental health and physical health and wellness is so incredibly important. And it's severely lacking. And so my story was my own personal story. And really, it was the first time that I even wrote about my own experience in recovery from surgery, after a series of surgeries, really considering the fact that mental health was never brought into any of my healing. It's not something that's a conversation that we have. There was no doctor that said, you know, a lot of traumatic things are going to happen. Let's focus on also kind of like the dual sides of how this can impact you. So I just haven't had that personal experience. So it was super meaningful to me to write this piece, not only as a way to process my own experience, but also just to contribute to the conversation about how important it is to bring mental health into the wellness space.
Thank you, Marissa. And Marissa was our first place winner of our recent open call in poetry. So thank you so much, Marissa. Did anyone else want to chime in and tell us a little bit about their submission and why it relates to either healing in mental health or wellness? Yes, Jamie.
It just meant so much to me that this magazine was
Jamie, go
being
ahead.
produced. Sorry? Hello? Okay.
I think she said, Jamie, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you. It just meant so much to me that this magazine was being produced. And when I saw the open call in the first place, it really touched me, because I had been going through basically a full year of struggling with my teenage daughters and my my older mother, who'd been widowed right like a month before the pandemic really locked everybody down, and just dealing with their mental health issues and my own through the fear of the pandemic and how we could all come through it. It was so wonderful to be able to put all those thoughts and feelings into one essay and have a place for that in the world, that I could share that with other people. So I'm really grateful that this exists and that it's going to go on and give artists and writers and poets, everybody, a place to express through their art exactly what they're going through, because it's just beautiful. I think that's such a gift to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. And you said this was the first time you submitted to an open call?
Yeah, I actually started grad school in July of 2021. And as I was wrapping up grad school in the fall of 2022, I was required to write an essay that included research. And that's where I started pulling this essay together. And when I saw your open call, I was amazed that that was out there and available to submit it to. So I was so grateful.
Amazing. I love to hear that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Jamie. Anyone else of our finalists tell us a little bit about your submission and why it relates to healing and mental health and or wellness, and maybe what motivated you or inspired you to submit this work?
Okay, so let's share my experience. Okay. After I applied for last year's open call and this year's open call in the letter writing part, writing section, and for the so when writing the first application for the Dear Public Health Letter Prize, can you hear me, please? Okay, so it was from my personal experience, and dealing with the pandemic, having to go home, the trauma of the, okay, will this come back again and everything. So I think that was what inspired me the first time to write it. Then the second time about writing for wellness, I think what the way the submission relates to wellness is that it helps the reader to realize that that whether you're in Nigeria or you're in the US or in a different country, you're in charge of your mental health. You're in charge of your mental health and your wellness. That means that, because like the way I wrote it, it's about my personal self writing to my future self, saying, okay, dear future me, this is this, this is that. So it's kind of like trying to say that, okay, whether I'm on Earth or I'm in Mars, your wellness is based on, it's your responsibility, and just trying to like share that experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And before we move on to the next question, I actually have a response from one of our finalists who emailed me responses to these questions. So I'm going to read a response. This is Hunter Ligore's response. So it says, my story Unbending is inspired by personal experience, past and present, and focuses on our ability to see another person's side during conflict through empathy. Though we often see conflict through the lens of war, we can recognize we're engaging many wars with others all the time, as tiny as when we go through a checkout line and meet with impatience or resistance. It's an opportunity to remain in the center, to experience in order to engage healing and understanding, to see sameness rather than difference, which can be carried elsewhere. I was motivated to submit to the call to be a part of the light or any community where sharing our inherent creative light, which is love, joy, compassion, cooperativeness, unity, kindness with others. So thank you. Thank you all. I'm going to pass it on to Bianca for the next question.
Okay, so the next question that we have for you all is, what is one word to describe the process of creating your work for the open call, and why did you choose that word?
I thought about this question for a little bit, and the word that I kept coming back to was catharsis. I think just because writing about this topic and just in general, the topic of the things that impact us physically or mentally is a lot of times I've spent a lot of time distancing myself from that. So to actually sit down and write about it and sort of process it that way was just a really cathartic experience for me.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
I think I would use the word community, just because so often mental health issues can make us feel so very isolated, and to know that we're not alone and that there's a community of people that empathizes with and supports and even has experienced similar things is really just so impactful to me. And I'm so grateful for the community that Light will offer so many people.
I would say for me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Hi, my name is Adesua. I would say for me, I would use the word bravery, because the piece I shared was on gender-based violence among people who were locked down in the pandemic. I mean, we had a lot of stories of people who couldn't leave and they were just stuck in a lot of things. So I would say the piece I shared on was for bravery, because it takes a lot for you to be able to pull yourself out of such a very horrifying and disturbing situation. I mean, nobody wants to experience violence in any form. So it takes a lot of willingness, takes a lot of bravery to be able to pull yourself out of that that situation, and then kind of like share your story with the world and help other women to find healing. So I think that's what I'll use. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there's nobody else that would like to share any words as it relates to their open call submissions, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question with Dr. Juliet.
Absolutely, thank you. I think we've been saying it's important that we try to bring a community of like-minded people that ultimately will work with us to reimagine what public health can be. And so from your perspective, some of you are not even in public health fields, but from your perspective, why do you think we ought to be doing more to ensure that your lived experiences are reflected in public health creatively, whether it's stories, poetry, letters? Why do you think such a space like Light matters at this time? And anyone can chime in too, if you have anything you also want to share about Light or what you've thought about, what you've been hearing all.
I can kind of, of course, I didn't do a submission, but I would like to just say that a lot of times, a lot of issues are swept underneath the rug, and many people don't speak on the things that might be bothering them. And sometimes it just is hard to just verbalize what is going on, but sometimes it's easier to write it down, or make a piece of artwork, or write a poem, so in that aspect, that's definitely why something like this matters, because it just gives the ability to be able to do that.
Thank you for sharing. Adesua, you have your hands up?
Yes, I would say Light is, the whole idea behind Light, the idea that, you can put up a story, put up a spoken word, put up a like an art piece to communicate. I feel like we are in a generation now where a lot of people connect on various levels of things. So you might have someone who is currently going through a particular, let's say, a particular situation in his or her life, and then you can just probably just read someone's article, just like Marisa said. She had a personal experience, and then she decided to share, and then someone else who just stumbles on that can also just find strength, and then be able to navigate his or her own feelings. For someone like me, I'm currently in the health sector, so mental health is like a huge part. A lot of times is not often like discussed, most especially with patients, because I'm currently a doctor. So when like most times the physical health is given priority than mental health. So all these things makes it possible for me to actually shed more light on mental health and how it is like the importance of mental health. And I feel like Light is doing amazing, having to create stories from various people around the world, having to share. I think it's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie?
Well, I really felt like Marisa hit the nail on the head when she used the word cathartic, and how cathartic art can be for us. And obviously, I, as a writer, do find words to express my feelings, but I'm also a watercolor artist, and sometimes nonfiction isn't the best way to even express what's going on inside of me, and I need to create something fictional to get it a real voice. And so all of these art forms are really cathartic to our inner soul, our inner being that needs a way to express itself for that catharsis, that healing, just like any other antibiotic or balm to heal an external pain, we need a way to heal that inner self. So I think that art offers that.
Thank you. Marisa?
Yeah, I think so much has been said already, but it is a lot about finding our community. And I think creative pursuits, creativity, it's an extension of the interior world into the exterior world. And I think that there's so many, if not the experiences are the same, there's common feelings, there's common emotions, there's enough common experience. There's so much more that ties us together than we realize. So for people to potentially see their stories reflected in someone else, to have something like Light that is bringing that forward in a creative and artistic way, stepping away from the clinical that everything else tends to be, and really bringing the creative side of it to the forefront, I just think is so important.
All right, thank you. Alexis?
Okay. So how does your submission that you submitted reflect your artistic style or your?
So that too, I have been using writing as a way to process everything for as long as I can remember. I tend very strongly towards poetry. I don't think it's ever been quite as real as what I wrote for my submission. I mean, that's just my true story, and it might have a poetic bent to it, but it really is my experience and what happened to me and how I was trying to sort of process it and get through it. So yeah, I think it follows similarly to how I tend to write, and just tend to express my emotions generally through poetry.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. I'm gonna pull in Bianca because her question kind of relates to, and maybe you guys have some additional thoughts on hers.
Okay, so what do you hope to achieve or communicate through your work being selected for this opportunity? And furthermore, what impact or impression do you intend to make on the audience or the viewers with your? Want to just like choose a word or another emotion or feeling that you got while you were creating your work that you might want to inspire in somebody else?
Adesua, your hands up.
Yes, hi. I shared a piece. It was titled Beyond These Scars. It was me putting it out there more like to remind anyone who is going through any tough time, going through any hardship at the moment, that you can actually live, you can actually have a life beyond whatever hardship you're going to. Basically, there is light at the end. I mean, it might be such a very dark period, it might be such a very challenging period, but then there is light at the end. So keep going, keep pushing. I mean, irrespective of all that is happening around you, there is light.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie, I did see your hand was up, but I don't know if you had anything to say.
Just my piece was much more focused on the real tragedy nationwide that we're having with mental health being addressed by our medical system, and the shortage of therapists available, especially people who are in more impoverished situations, have perhaps lack of access to good healthcare and doctors, and that more than ever, we have a problem with this in our country. And so even though that's not my standard way of writing, or it is my life, and it's a very non-fiction approach to writing, I did love that writing this for Light gave me a way to draw attention to that. And I hope that more people know that that they are seen, even though our current situation in our country isn't addressing it the way that it should be. And hopefully more attention can be drawn to that.
Thank you for sharing
Thank
that with us. Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if we can move to what you guys are hoping for light issue number 2, Bianca and Alexis. You had all these fabulous entries from all these fabulous people. What is your hope in the design space of what can be with light issue number 2?
Uh, this is really just a thought, and of course we'll discuss this further. But with everybody that submitted, I think it would be also nice to kind of include them in visualizing the creative aspect, the visual aspect that will go into the magazine to accompany their submission pieces. And just kind of seeing if there was anything that you thought that would look good to go there, or that you just imagine to go there as well.
I like that. I hear people nodding their heads. So are you guys interested in help working with Bianca visualize your pieces?
The other side is, you can also I can just surprise you. I love it either way.
I wanted to showcase what can be when
I
when
love that
she goes
idea too.
I was gonna say I wanted to showcase what can be when she starts visualize. I don't know if you can see it. Alexa, do you have yours? Your magazine.
I'm also very excited to read through all of the submissions. I remember on issue 1, of course, coming into this being a new project and learning more about light, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect from what I was going to read in the magazine. And I was really pleasantly surprised as I began to read through, some of the submissions, and some of the things that really stuck out to me were definitely the pandemic pieces. And the pandemic was very traumatizing for a lot of people, especially as it pertains to mental health and physical health, as people were dealing with having COVID and family members having COVID. But I definitely think that it's important to continue the conversation into further years as people continue to process anything that might have been traumatic during that experience, or even anything that was joyful or that you gained during that experience. I know there were some people that didn't work and may have actually had some time to really sit down and analyze their physical and mental space. So, that was one thing I was excited to read in issue 1. So I am, like I said, I'm curious and looking forward to see what these submissions are, and how they can also relate to my own personal mental and physical healing.
Thank you. I have one last slide to share. I think my internet was acting up a little bit, so I would, sorry if you guys were hanging on me for anything. But just looking ahead, so we have another open call. We do biannual open calls, so fall and spring. Our fall one will be August 1st through November 1st. So it runs for 3 months, as does our other one. We have plenty of time until it actually begins, and then you have plenty of time during the open call itself to submit your entries. So if you're interested, please submit. Issue 2 will definitely be coming 2024. It includes all of your entries from fall 22 and spring 23, and then the additional top 5. So we select the top 5 entries of each category, and those are the ones that will be included in the magazine. So like we said earlier, we're really excited for issue 2 and determined to give you our best work yet, learning from all the hurdles that we talked about previously, and just building off of the successes that we've had as well. We can't wait to share issue 1 with you, and then also issue 2 with you whenever we put all of that together and have it up for sale. But if you are interested in ordering issue 1, we do have that up on our website now. You can order a physical copy or also a digital copy as well. So please check out our website for that. Yeah, I'm really thankful for all of you for joining our session today, and for everyone who submitted to our open call, past, previous, and even the future. Thank you all again. It's been a pleasure to have you here today and to actually see you face to face, though we are virtual. But it's good to put a face to a name, because I see a lot of names come through, and it's nice to see you and actually speak with you. And thank you just in general for opening up and sharing your experiences with us and your stories with us.
Yeah, and on behalf of the team, we look forward to what can be with Light Issue 2 with all your entries. So take a look at Light 1. It is beautiful. Like you heard from the beginning, a labor of love. But we definitely look forward now to issue number 2 and what can be when it's released next year. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We really,
We do
really
have
appreciate
a couple more sessions, so please feel free to stick around and join those. And thank you again for coming today. You can order the magazine on our website. It's light4ph.org. And always, if you have any questions, please email. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.